horse drifted alarmingly in the betting, was, fenced in the morning, continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Buttons.
The ground is soft. It's
heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
Hello, and a warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Inquiry Christmas Sunday sermon, the one before Santa empties his sack all over your living room on Wednesday, to bring you some festive cheer before that event takes place.
Yeah.
It's myself,
Yes.
John and Chris, to chew the fat of the racing week and all your topics, questions and frivolities we've got in store for you on this show. Welcome, John and Chris.
Merry Christmas, one and all.
It's that magical time of year when women everywhere pray to God that they invent a Bacardi Breezer morning after pill. Damn right.
Indeed. Without further ado, let's look at yesterday's action, which coincides with my daughter's birthday, which I always know that the long walk hurdle takes place on that particular day. And we're going to start with that race, John, because obviously Ascot, a bit of a messy run race, don't we think? The long walk yesterday. Crambo winning the race again. I'm very pleased for that Fergal O'Brien team. Best Twitter account on Twitter for a trainer. So I don't mind them having some success.
Well, no, come on now. No cake from them. We did put out a message for some cake last week, didn't we? And
we did.
And we heard nothing. Nothing at all.
Yeah,
fuck them.
What a wretched outfit they are, aren't they? Dreadful people. A bit of cake would have been nice gesture. Nothing. So if they're all listening in the tack room now, get the governor to bake us a cake.
There you go, Ferg. Come on, let's send some cake up for the Bar Stewards and we'll do you a plug. Do you a big yard plug on the show. Right, so Crambo doing the business again, John. Anything to take from it other than it was a bit of a messy race?
I think they're obviously fancying Beauport for the national, aren't they? Because you wouldn't really say why they'd even bother with hurdles with him at this stage, but he's obviously needing a runabout now and they're protecting that mark, I think.
Yeah, be 156 over fences. You certainly wouldn't want any more than that, would you?
No.
At Aintree, that's what you're considering. So
I think we can assume that one's going there.
Yes, I agree. I think hurdles campaign for Beauport until the big day there might be forthcoming. Just to clarify what I think on the race, I think if Connections chose this route, the Gordon Elliott train, the Wall Park, will win the Pertemps.
Mm-hmm.
It was towards the back, slowly run race, eye-catching late headway. The only problem was it was that eye-catching that they might decide to go down the Grade 1 staying hurdle route, which then makes the Pertemps a no-go. But having said that, 12-1 with Unibet, I would have a small tickle on that if you can get to 12-1 with Unibet. It's a big ask, I admit. But if you can, I think it's worth a small tickle, because if that lines up for the Pertemps on the day, it will be 3-1-5, a mark of 152, which it won't go up for that long walk fourth.
No.
It'll be left alone. So 152. And we know how JP likes to win the Pertemps, and he's done it quite regularly recently. But I do genuinely feel that horse, if they choose to do so, would be Cast Iron Fab on the day of the Pertemps final. And I think 12s is just enough juice in it to make it 4 times the price than you'll get on the day, in my view, if that's what they choose to do. All right, you lose your dough if they don't. But
which one?
The Wall Park.
The Wall Park and the Pertemps.
Trained by Fat Gordon, obviously the famous green and gold. Very progressive in handicap hurdles.
Have you noticed, I know conspiracy theory, but JP has been unwell, hasn't he, in the last few years? Have you noticed that he's having quite a few more winners, isn't he, than you would expect? Now, I haven't looked at the stats and you'll tell me I'm wrong, but, there's a sense that, perhaps he's unwell and he's trying to, get as many winners as he can. Maybe he's unwell again, because I've noticed that, that there aren't so many incidents of him, giving things run-ups, etc. No, I'm being serious. I mean, it's a really morbid point, but is he trying to win everything at the moment? He's going to send Spillane's Tower over, isn't he, for the King George? Is this something that he wants to, get as much out of life as possible at the minute? I mean, I don't know, and I don't wish him any ill, but it seems to an observer like me that he's having a lot more winners now, isn't it? At the minute,
Yes.
you'll look at the stats and say I'm wrong, but he does seem to be. I mean, maybe it's because of the resurgence of the John Joe O'Neill yard, but he's having a lot more winners than I've previously observed. So maybe there's something in that.
Fair point. I mean, it is true. I haven't got the stats in front of me, but he's definitely been on the crest of a wave with a lot of these horses that he's running. So maybe there is something to that he just wants to get as many winners as possible, like Chris says.
He's maybe had a visit from the ghost of Christmas future. You jangling chains and telling him to change his ways before it's too late.
Yes, mend your ways.
It's just a bit of cheese, he'll say, after waking up after a bad dream. Right, we move on from that one to the Silver Cup. It was won by the Venetia-trained Victorino. Venetia doing quite well at this time of year, as she normally does. And this one was always fancied and earmarked for this race, given that conditions were perfect for it. The one thing, John, about this horse, right? Charlie Dutch, the pilot, is very deceiving. If you stop the VT turning in, you're thinking, is this beat?
Yeah.
There's not much movement. Cardboard cutouts on top. And even when he's challenging, he doesn't seem to move very much.
Matt Chapman was effusive in his praise for this ride.
Yeah.
He said it was one of the rides of the season.
Okay.
I thought it was a fairly calm effort. Didn't get carried away, kept his head, hung on to his smacks as usual. Roundabout now is generally the end of Venetia anyway, isn't it? We're sort of coming to the end of the Venetia season.
She can go into January.
Yeah.
There is ammo left, I think, for January usually, but yeah.
I'm not optimistic, to be honest. I think she's had a more right early this year than ever before, to be honest. And I can see an awful lot of these going off the boil, to be honest.
I don't think she's monstrous on stats, though. I don't think she's like busting winners, but she is landing a few nice pots.
She's had a lot of new outfits on.
I think one of my favourites that time, it looked like a kimono. I don't know whether it were at Cheltenham or something like that. You remarked.
It was like Morticia Adams meets Demis Roussos.
Demis Roussos, yes.
Yeah, forever and ever. Brilliant. So anyway, just Charlie's riding style. It's an interesting style. We used to say, remember Norman Williamson, Storming Norman?
Yes, the original hanging on to now.
Like you said, John, you couldn't tell 3 out if he'd got an absolute barrel full or whether there's absolutely zero in the tank. I wonder if like Venetia's had sort of words with Mr. Dutch and said, you want to ride like that? Because there are similarities. I'm not saying he's as good as Storming Norm, because I don't think he is, but it's one of them. It's just a bit of similarity there. Maybe she likes her horses ridden like that. Maybe that.
No, I'm sure she does.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot about Norman's style she liked.
Oh, yes, absolutely. There was plenty about Norman that she liked. Anyway, leave it there. Going to Haddock, not that we particularly want to.
Yeah.
Just the Tommy Whittle. Am I right in saying, John, back in day, the Tommy Whittle was
a lot better than this.
Weren't it considered like one at Key Gold Cup trials or something like that? Or some...
You get like promising types going for it. I think it's a long time since that happened, really. I'd say it last 10 or 12 years, it's sort of certainly general nosedive.
Yeah, Egbert. I tell you what, like when you looks at, I didn't play up race, but this was when you looks at it. If you back Jack's Parrot, you're probably thinking 2 out or even run to 2 out. You're thinking this is absolutely gagged.
Yeah.
I always think when you looks out, there's always one coming out the pack and you're pulling miles clear, you're doing no wrong, you're still going clear, everything else. And then Egbert nails it on running, powers clear, and you think, why me? Why?
Yes.
Jack's Parrot felt like that. So if you're on Jack's Parrot in the Tommy Whittle, I do feel a bit for you because you must have thought you got that in the bag. But as usual, in bog heavy deep ground at Haydock, the race changed complexion, John.
That's a good cliche we've got, really, isn't it? For it?
Yeah.
How far does Famous Bridge want, would you say? With 11 miles, just about.
I think if they did another lap in the Ida on absolutely bottomless, I think
I was thinking Ida material myself.
Another full lap, because he'll only get going when probably after last in Ida, I think.
Yeah.
That's like the Shire horse of thoroughbred national hump racing.
There must be a joy to one and train them types.
Yeah. Right, so not a lot happened Saturday, really, in terms of review-wise. But that brings us on to Boxing Day and stuff like that, and Boxing Day naps, etc., etc. It's an interesting question, that, because I've got one. I've got a Johnny Dineen max bet special for Boxing Day. The type that Johnny Dineen backs, not the 10 to 1, 14 to 1 pokes. Chris might like this because it's yeah. But anyway, John, I'm going to ask you first, though. Have you got any sort of early Boxing Day naps? Before we do our podcast, by the way, which before I bring you in, John, is on Patreon. It's going to be me, Fry, Richmondo, Andy Richmond, and John. That'll be live to Patreon members on Christmas Eve morning at 9 a.m. And it will be live to non-Patreon members on Christmas Day at 9 a.m. So if you want to get away from the people around you, get listening to the Bar Stewards tipping show for Boxing Day. But John, have you anything now that you'd like to think this is looking nap material?
Absolutely not. I put the question up with a view to sneaking a few bets on other people's naps. No,
Yeah, Stephen Thomas has been on. He says Jubilee Alpha at Kempton in the 305, wherever Elliot's filly Woodrow runs. She's a grader mare in handicaps. And a Merry Christmas to all us Bar Stewards. You have kept us sane and well entertained for another year.
Yeah, say it with cash. You know, pats on the head, pay no bills. Send us a few quid. Come on, get your money.
Yeah, send us a few quid. We all need it. The Boxing Day nap then. Okay. It's on the football, not racing.
Oh no.
Is it,
Oh.
is it Chef Wed to beat Borough?
No, it's Borough to beat Chef Weds.
Right.
This is an astonishing piece of value at 7 to 10 with Billy Mountains. The reason is Borough are a very good team, really good team. We are doing okay. But the key for Boxing Day is that we're missing our main centre half and we've very few fit defenders. And the main centre half is the linchpin of our back line, Deshaun Bernard, and he's suspended for 2 games. That is a disaster against a Borough team that caused us absolute many problems at their ground last season when we were in form. And although we're winning, we're not particularly in form. We're getting it done ugly. I don't think we can get it done ugly against the Borough because Borough are too strong. And 7 to 10 is enormous. What I would say is Danny Roll, the Sheffield Wednesday manager, his tactic is to, if we're 2-0 down, he tells the players to ease off, to save the legs for the next match, because obviously it's a busy time at Christmas period. So not to chase the game. He did that against Watford when we lost 6-2 at home. We went 2 goals behind, and it's as if the message got out. There were weird substitutions, and literally we didn't try after going 2 goals down. And I genuinely think the -1 makes appeal. But if you want to be safe, responsible gambling, folks, remember, responsible gambling at this precious time and your Christmas money and everything else. 10,000 to win 7. Get on and smash it up. Take them all to Dubai in January. Get it done. Borough to beat Wednesday. And obviously, me being a Sheffield Wednesday fan certainly tells you why I think that is. Chris, what are you saying to my nap?
If you've got the 10, do you really need the 7? But look, that your logic is flawless. So I think people will be looking to find something to go with for a double. So I think we'll follow you in there.
I think that goes off much shorter. I think we're looking into the late 158s, 157 on the machine come the day. So smash into Billy Mountains and take that 7 to 10. The Borough 0, John.
Wow, brave boys.
Good side now, Borough, John. They've changed since you last watched them. Bernie Slaven's retired now, mate.
They're improved since Hitler stopped going.
Well, that's it. Imagine him abuse he shouts from the terraces.
Yeah, punch the cunt.
Absolutely, he's disgraceful. Imagine Borough players getting stick off him. They'll not like that. So with him not going, it's probably boosted morale in the crowd and ground.
Things have improved in general for the fact that he's no longer attending the Riverside.
Oh, everything. Everything with him. Not
well, people are back smiling and taking the kids again. And
he's that kind of dreadful human being. You know, he'd be telling kids off, would he? It's Christmas time. And if a kid bumped into him, he'd be telling them off.
Oh, God help them.
Horrible. Oh, yeah. Right, we move on from the potentially disastrous Boxing Day banker nap. Johnny Dineen, eat your heart out with that.
Does anybody know Johnny Dineen's banker nap for Boxing Day? Could have a double.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, do that. If Julio does a podcast, he might do. I don't know if he's doing one with Johnny. Chris Pull does a Racing Spaces with Johnny. I don't know if they've got one planned for Boxing Day. They might have. Just check out Twitter and you'll probably get Dineen's nap. Have a double with Johnny's nap. Johnny will have one lined up at like 4 to 5 that's mustard. So get doubling away. Lorcan Williams, John, another story from this week where Pumpkin hung him out to dry in the racing media for hitting Captain Bellamy 11 times to hang on to win a Newbury novice hurdle earlier.
Yeah, I didn't see the point hanging the lad out to dry, to be honest. I mean, the horse wouldn't have won without them extra smacks.
No chance. It would have got beat.
That's the question. So, if I had been in the happy position of being Mr. Pumpkinhead, I think I'd have been more inclined to have a chunter about the rules than the kid on top, who, at the end of the day, did his level best to win. It didn't look an abusive ride one bit.
No, because what we've done, and we've now made it about numbers. Now we've got a situation where that horse really should have been disqualified for betting purposes 5 minutes after the race. Can the stewards not count to 11 on track?
Well, you raise an interesting point. we know some can't. We know Newmarket can't.
No. 11's like, it's over.
11's a big number in the world of stewarding.
It is big. So that horse really should have gone. Like you say, if you back the second, I think Mike Cattermole would back the second because he was annoyed about it. You could tell, you could hear it in his voice when he was on that Sky Sports Racing the other day. He was like audibly annoyed at the cat. There you go. This bitterness. It's like Chris in the Cesarovic, Chris, when you bet.
Yes.
Banksman.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, exactly. The sheer injustice of it all is horrible, isn't it? God almighty. Impotent rage that fills you in those circumstances. Dreadful, awful sport.
But of course, they got it back on appeal because apparently one of the shots was a fresh air shot. He didn't make contact. What a ridiculous situation we've backed ourselves into, John.
Imagine if Dean McEwen was still riding and they were trying to police this.
Dean McEwen riding or in the steward's room. I don't know which is worse.
Or in the betting shop, one or the other.
Yeah, anywhere involved with racing.
King of the air shot.
So we move on from the Lorcan Williams where Pumpkin destroyed the lad. Poor lad. Trying hard enough to win, and then Pumpkin just absolutely just brushes him aside.
14 days as well. I mean, Jesus Christ. I think we need to get Struthers on here, you know.
Yeah, we'll actually sort this out. We'll get Paul on this podcast to actually discuss what he thinks regarding certain things. And I know for a fact it'd be difficult for Paul to open up on everything. Obviously, we're critical of the BHA. Paul certainly can't be that critical of the BHA in terms of...
We'll just get him pissed.
Yeah, I think we will. Paul, we'll get you pissed. Come on, sure. We'll send you some absolutely top-notch plonk down. And when you come on the chat, you can be on my level after a few bowls of rum or gin or whatever your tipple is. Another thing about Johnny Dineen. I keep going about Johnny Dineen. Why am I doing this? Racing Post delete Johnny Dineen's tweet on Pumpkin. I don't know if any of you saw this.
Said all his horses are shit, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was a bit more better speak than how we put it. But yeah, basically he called Pumpkin's horses shit. Racing Post deleted the tweet. Does that more or less highlight the media and how it is in racing? Just like it really does, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that in a nutshell. You don't need to explain beyond that. The message is controlled, isn't it? You know, you can't piss off people in racing who they regard as their superiors. You know, it's a feudal system, isn't it? That's it.
Why would Paul Nicholls be desperately upset over somebody saying that?
It's only an opinion.
Exactly.
If someone says you're shit, I mean, you probably have to back it up and say why. But at the end of the day, what do we say then? If you're getting £400,000 horses sent to you in drone from Fergie and Jed Mason and everyone else that buys your horses, and you're not really competing at the Cheltenham Festival starts.
Well, you'd be grateful for whoever's saying they're all shit rather than your shit, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just think it's a shame where we're at, and Racing Post highlighting again where we are in terms of racing media.
He gets a lot of stick, Dineen, but I like him.
I don't mind anyone that wears the heart on this and just says it. Like it's like us. There's lots of people that don't like us, think we're idiots.
Justifiably so.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, when Sheffield Wednesday win 5-0, everyone will think they're a cunt, won't they? And they're 5-0 down after 10 minutes. Fucking hell.
Yeah. But this is it. I don't actually mind that. It's an opinion and it's fine. As long as it's not unnecessarily totally out of order and abusive. I don't see what's problem. Why racing media can't call things out for what it is. The racing media for me are the industry. They would dress up a turd to look
Less than a turd.
less
Like
than a
a
turd.
Christmas Yule log. They put a bit of holly on it.
I'm not saying for 1 minute Nicholls is a turd or anything like that. I'm just saying that that's how they are with a lot of the racing types. You cannot get an honest opinion on a certain. It's like, oh, you're costing me owners. Oh, you're going to ruin my business, and you're going to do. It's just bollocks. It's like if you're rubbish, and that's that.
It's a queer old sport, isn't it?
It is. Right. So in football, you get writers, loads of people write on football in newspapers, and you're allowed to say exactly what you think on Pep Guardiola and Man City struggling. You're allowed to say whatever you like. Oh, well, he's shit. This player they've signed shit. But in racing, if like Nicky Henderson books Ned Curtis or Jerry McGrath, you're not allowed to say, why is he using shit jockeys? Well, we do. Well, we did. But obviously they're not riding now, but still, they were shit. That's it. There's nothing else to say.
It's very rare we would do any sort of tipping podcast without somebody mentioning severe reservations about a trainer or jockey, wouldn't it? I mean,
yeah.
Whereas you listen to a lot of media and it's more, this one doesn't get the chances he deserves, or he's only waiting for the one good horse and all this, And
I love it when people get critical of us and say things like, well, they're just being unnecessarily critical and aggressive or being nasty to certain people. It's not really the case, because every time we've criticised people, whether it's the hierarchy, whether it's a jockey or a ride or decision made by a trainer, there's usually justification for it. And rarely do we just go on a random attack and say, well, it is what it is. But there you go. That's the racing media gravy train all aboard, as the Racing Post proved. On to Betfair commission charges. Recently, they have announced this week very confusing terminology that from now on, punters that win more than £25,000 a year will pay 20% of their winnings to Paddy Power per week. So if you opened a fresh Betfair account, for example, like you're a newcomer to the game, a young buck, let's say you're very good at what you do.
Oh, to be a young buck.
No, I want to be one now. We're all waiting to die on assisted dying plans and
I'm glad we'll be dead soon, to be honest.
Yeah. We can line it back and talk about how we should show that we
get the missus in and give it a rub.
Anyway, if you make over 100,000, you pay 40% to Paddy Power. Okay, that's fair enough. So I always thought, well, that's me finished then, because I'm one of those people that over the years, I don't pay premium charges. I've built up a buffer zone, if you like, where I can win so much before I have to pay them. And I thought, well, that's me done then, because I fall into the 20% category. That would mean any win bet or a lay bet would mean I can't do it anymore. I'd have to trade like a tradey thing to have any justification for doing it. I thought that's a disaster. After that, I am told, and I hope this is correct, you never know with this information though, because when they introduce things like this, it never gets better, does it, John? It never gets better for the punter. There's always something that gets added in down the line. For now, they're saying that the points you've built up over time to give you that buffer zone will protect. So basically, I'm allowed still to win what I'm allowed to win before I have to pay it. But nevertheless, let's give them a chance. Let's see if it does any good and boosts exchange liquidity, which BetAngel promote and think they've had a hand in this decision. So let's hope it provides a welcome boost to exchange liquidity upon bombardment of affordability checks. Tipsters, John.
Tipsters.
Tipsters. Them. Lots of chat about this. Obviously, like AK's podcast with TC and ITV Racing as well. People saying, why don't they keep a P&L? If they're having a points or amount of monetary stake, there should be some kind of profit and loss record for these people. I'll be honest, and this is my own opinion, I'm not that fussed, because I think if anyone's that daft to follow what I would call bookmaker-sponsored tipsters or ITV Racing charity bets, I think you need your bumps feeling. Am I right, John Chris, that these people are skilled pundits? They aren't professional gamblers. They're not going to make you money.
No.
They're just not.
Yeah, and I think you're right. You do need your bumps feeling. I do have some sympathy with your point of view, which is the fact is that, very quickly you're cotton onto the fact that they actually don't know any more than you know yourself, they are journalists fundamentally. They're presenters, but they're not punters. And they're just giving an opinion, aren't they? That's it.
I think what annoys people is that if you use, say, a stake, like a point, at 1 point win this, the point's meaningless if you aren't recording it, because what is a point? For example, when we run our services, which are professionally run and commercialised, 1 point to us is 1% of our betting bank, which is recommended at 100 points. That point has a meaning, doesn't it? So it means
Yes.
that when you lose, you've lost, like a bet, you've lost 1% of your initial starting pot. So
Yeah.
it has a meaning. So what is the point? If you're not going to record a P&L, why even stake a bet? Just give your opinion piece,
Yep.
but don't put any points on it, because it's pointless if you're not going to keep a track.
Yeah,
That's how
agree with that. I mean, you're right. I mean, I think just lose the points and that you'll be absolutely fine. It's just an opinion, and you can, follow them in or not.
I read a lot of it because sometimes I'll miss something. We all miss things because it's impossible to digest every piece of information. So this isn't me like acting clever or thinking, oh, I'm better than everybody else, because I'm not. It's just a case of there are certain bits of information that are useful that even pundits will provide. I would suggest to people reading these bets or these opinion pieces to try and pick up things that might enhance the case for one of your bets or your fancies. I think that's the best way to play them. John?
I find a lot of it quite instructive, to be honest, because at this stage of my life, I find myself much diminished as regards the amount of time I can put in studying every card.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will refer to certain journalists who write copy for the weekend and things like that to give myself a bit of an overview and actually sort of see if I can whip up a bit of enthusiasm to go into something in a bit more detail a lot of the time. I can't put the hard yards in now, and I know some of these lads do, working out pace maps and things without referral to GGs and all the rest of it, and I genuinely can't be asked to do it a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Because it's not life or death to me anymore. I rely a lot on my tracker, as you know now, and if I haven't got any tracker action going on, I do. I refer to these columns and things. I don't really care what gets tipped up.
No.
But I'll use it as regards an overview of a race, because they're putting more work in than I'm prepared to.
Exactly that. If I've done 30 minutes on a race because I'm not that arsed about it, and then you read what they put, and it's like, I never considered that angle. There's always a nugget somewhere that somebody writes. So
I don't get criticism of people that write columns and things, because it's like the telly. You've got the off button. You don't have to read it. Read what you think's doing you a bit of good, and if you don't think it's doing you any good, why are you still reading it, and why are you wasting time chuntering about it?
Fair comment. Only thing I suggest, though, is like I said to these people that do it, stop using points. I'm not the arbiter in all this or the be-all and end-all.
That doesn't even matter to me, because I'm very rarely looking at the end product. I'm looking for thoughts.
But it's mainly just for the people that have said, look, follow them or might follow them. And they're saying, well, you're like loads down and you're not saying that you're loads down.
If they're in them situations, they want the hands holding and the staking plan, fucking sign up with us.
Exactly. Another plug there for the Bastards, of course, who are having a stellar year and looking after all our patrons as always. And it'd be good to have you on the ship if you fancy making a change. Busy Christmas period coming up, and who better to sign up to?
Very good advert for you there, where I'm just telling you what I can't be asked to do.
Yeah. We've got a great team here. John that does nothing, nothing. None of us do anything. But we're still making fortunes, which is important. Final thing before we come on to some fun or supposed fun. It might not be fun. Some of these questions, geez. There was a certain fight that happened last night, the Tyson Fury fight. Have you both watched it?
Yes, I did.
John, right. So you both watched it. There was a bit of outrage over I know this is an horse racing podcast, so sorry for you horse racing folks, but I thought it's worth talking about because the card said 4 rounds to Usyk, and no, it could not have been 4 rounds to Usyk. The only way I scored that fight was 7-5 Usyk or 6-6 draw. Fury didn't win the fight. I agree with that before anyone says what you're talking about. But there's no way there was 4 rounds between those two in that fight. Fury fought better than what he did on the first fight, and it was a split decision. Usyk's probably improved as well and fought better, but still, there wasn't 4 rounds between them. Chris, is that a fair comment?
Yeah, I think so. And what it shows is that, time and time again, judges are impressed by a lot of movement, and a lot of activity. The fact is that that activity doesn't necessarily have to be punches that rock the other fighter, but he was a lot busier, and I just didn't think Fury still didn't throw enough punches. It was
No.
very close. I mean, I thought Usyk nicked it by a couple of rounds, but he just wasn't busy enough, was he? He came in heavier, and you'd expect him to try and blitz him out there, but he didn't throw enough punches, I didn't think. And I think Usyk's got his number, hasn't he?
I think so. He's got his number psychologically as well, which obviously Tyson likes to use in terms of getting a boxer sort of like psyched out like he's done in the past, which he made Deontay Wilder come in. Deontay Wilder had to wear headphones at a press conference, and he also came in that big heavy suit that he blamed for defeat against Fury in one of the fights. And I just think Fury got that much in his head that he gained 20, 30% edge just for that. That's what he does. But throughout this, he could not get in Usyk's head at all. Usyk was like, no, I'm not having any bar of this. John?
I just hope that Fury doesn't retire and gets bombarded with bloodstock agents that get him to expand his horse racing empire now.
Yeah, he'll be back boxing after a year.
I say he might find he's back fighting at the age of 63 or something.
Skin. Yeah, topless.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, John Hughes, I saw a tweet from him today, replying to James Millman, I don't know, defending the sport, if you like, where he would do now. James Millman's on the gravy train. He gets his racing TV shifts. But of course, John Hughes stated about it's not much fun.
John Hughes that did the Breakfast Club and Pretty in Pink.
Might be.
Yeah, that's the fella. Yeah.
He replies to James Millman, said, people spend big money on the dream of winning at Cheltenham now. Could have zero prize money at the festival, and most of the elite owners would turn up. At the lower end, you buy a national horse because you love the sport and hope to enjoy days at local tracks. So John Hughes replied to that and said, trouble is the ownership experience without the better horse is often mediocre and soon fails to compensate. A few gallop videos and a poor owners and trainers lunch in a crowded room isn't much as a return for 25,000 plus a year outlay. We need a huge upgrading of that total ownership experience. Chris, would you agree with that?
Yeah, completely right. I mean, James Millman has done a 180 pivot, hasn't he? I do recall years ago him moaning about prize money, but I suppose when you're on the media gravy train and your dad's sending out invoices to hapless owners, it's a little bit rich, I think. But I think John Hughes is
tell them they should be grateful to get the invoices on time.
Yeah, quite right. Yeah,
getting paid, exactly.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good point from John Hughes. So we move on now to some fun. Yes. Christmas telly highlights, John.
It's bad, isn't it?
Lord Worcestershire's been on.
Mm-hmm.
And he said his Christmas telly highlight is Babe's Day.
He's probably not far wrong. I mean, I'm scouring for highlights and really struggling.
Yeah. And not just for Christmas either. It's the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it?
I mean, I could say maybe in pastry days. Yeah.
John, I know for various personal reasons you don't like Christmas, right? But I'd like to ask you, there must be some favourite Christmas telly, either of the past or present, something that you actually enjoyed, maybe.
I don't think there was, to be honest. I mean, I used to despise the Markham and Wise Christmas specials.
Yeah.
Right from the off, I mean, never mind when we got to like repeat number 15 and 16. I thought they were fucking awful at the time.
Yeah.
Any comedy series that does a Christmas special should be taken off the air immediately. Soap operas, there's always a death at a wedding. Every other year a child's born.
Dirty Den gets shot this time. Yeah. There's always a shooting, isn't there?
Yeah, somebody's always dying in Albert Square or something like that, and it's just so fucking predictable. It's like when you get Christmas over and the first this morning of the new term, they whale out 6 fatties that have to lose 28 pounds before the end of February.
Yeah.
Because they've been eating non-stop since the beginning of December.
Yeah.
And you get some banana head coming on telling them what they can and can't eat. It's repetitive, it's lazy, and it's very, very depressing.
From my experience, this was as bad for me as finding out Father Christmas wasn't real. Sorry, kids, if you're listening.
Kids are listening to this and deserve to know Father Christmas isn't real.
Well, yeah,
Actually, yeah.
blame the parents. Yeah.
Breaking on bar stewards for anyone's sons or daughters listening to this right now. Breaking. He doesn't exist. Merry Christmas.
He only exists in your nightmares, kids, when he's coming down the chimney looking for you.
It's the Hootenanny thing for me. I watched it every year, like for ages, and I like the Hootenanny at New Year. Like, forget Christmas, I just loved it. So I think they got C6 Steve on once, and I was like, right impressed. It were him that played all instruments, like fucking at once and sang. I thought, fucking hell, you're a bit handy. Then I found out they filmed it in August.
Yeah.
What is all that about? Absolute
Well,
sacrilege.
with people at the top of the profession, they're not going to give up their New Year's Eve to entertain plebs like us, are they?
I don't. They could have done it on like 29 for something. You know.
No, they're already pissed by then.
True. Yeah.
Them people have a different lifestyle to us. Well,
Yeah.
maybe not yourself, because obviously.
What, like on Hampstead Heath, getting blowjobs and things like that. Yeah. Chris,
Yes.
right, you must have some fabulous Christmas telly.
Well, I mean, I think the modern Christmas telly is rubbish. I mean, I'm with you, John, on Morecambe and Wise. I think it's hugely overrated, but I think it exists in people's kind of memory as a sort of a warm and fuzzy image. It's like the TV equivalent of cheese and crackers and a cup of tea, isn't it? I don't think anyone actually laughs at it, do they? It's more an exercise in nostalgia. But I actually watched on the iPlayer the other day the old repeats of Frank Spencer, right? Some mothers do have, and that was actually genuinely funny. It still stands the test of time. So I have fond memories of that. But a lot of the modern stuff, I think, is garbage. I think Gavin and Stacey, a pile of old shit. I can't have that for any money. Morecambe and Wise, no good. I liked On the Buses. Do you remember that? They used to have a Christmas special. That was good. That's still, that's still funny because it resonates, and the characters still stand the test of time.
57-year-old Reg Varney playing a 23-year-old bus driver pulling trumpet.
Yeah, exactly right. And that was the joke, which a lot of people don't get. They were all conspicuously middle-aged, weren't they? That's the point. It was ludicrous that they all lived in the same house. You had Olive, etc. The baby, you had Doris Hare as it was absurd, and that was the joke that a lot of kind of modern people don't get. That was it. It was stupid. It was ridiculous. All these sort of hot clippies creeping around a bloke who's kicking on nearly 60. It's mad. But I think that was quite good. But a lot of the modern stuff, I think it's nonsense.
We'd all end up with Olive. Look, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Anna Karen.
Not many Christmases when I haven't ended up with Oliver.
She's dead now, isn't she? Her house caught fire. I think she was smoking in bed and she burnt to death. that actually happened. Yeah, last year she died, Anna Karen, I think.
Oh, bless.
Cheery note, that isn't it? Yeah, but fire smoking
Cheering
in bed.
Up, Christmas special, cheering them all up. Oh, I like this question. Bert Doncaster, random. Listen, what's your darts nickname and walk on?
Eric Bistow will be me. And I'd walk onto the theme tune of Some Mothers Do Have Them. There you go.
Me would be Lee the Finger Blaster Keys. Yes. And I'd walk onto Ted Hankey's Beyond Your Way. It's like a techno track that he sunded from. You've got to be on acid to actually enjoy it. This is my territory. Beyond Your Way. And then it went.
Yeah, that sounds shit. That sounds shit. That really does. Does it go again?
It's really. I'm not doing it. You can YouTube it.
Oh, fucking what? Oh,
Ted Hankey's walk on music. Yeah,
I will. Yeah. I'll YouTube that later.
Yeah, proper techno. Job.
I'd be known as a crafty cunt.
Yeah.
And I would have as my walk-on music the thing to Mr. Ben, and I'd wear different outfits every time I came on.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
You stop one could be bowler hat one.
Yeah.
And then you change outfit when.
Like I mean, imagine if you get to the final, you walk on as a red Indian. That would throw your opponent, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Native American.
You could fucking hell, Geronimo's coming out to play. But he's good at Harris. Oh, stereotype there.
You could cast aspersions in the media by walking on with the shopkeeper as well.
The old fez on. What was that about? Why was he wearing a fez? That's weird.
They all wore them back in the day, didn't
they? Yeah, I don't recall that. Must be a northern thing, I think. The fez wearing shopkeeper. Yeah, yeah. Remember
Yeah.
Hector the boxer, Hector Macho Camacho? He used to come on as like a Roman centurion, I remember. Or
He was
something.
fantastic, wasn't
Wasn't
he?
he? What a showman he was, Christ. Yeah, handy.
And he got shot.
Yeah, drug
Um,
deal gone wrong, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
usual. Yeah, yeah.
I think he was off his napper most of the time, wasn't he? I remember he used to knock people out and then he's shouting into the microphone, "Who is the man? Who is the man?"
He was great.
Yeah.
Hector Macho Camacho. What a nickname that was. What a fighting name. Brilliant, brilliant.
Absolutely. Producer's question, which says Christmas treat, you can drop one of us off the pod. It could be any one of us, and it
Yeah,
doesn't really
fucking
matter.
hell.
And which celebrity would you choose to fill the massive void?
Well, for John, I'd replace him with Martin Lewis. You'd like that, John, wouldn't you?
I think that would be very fitting, actually,
Yeah.
with like-minded souls.
Yeah. Yeah, you could tell people how you could save 2p on 3 metric tons of salt from Lidl or something like that.
I can heartily recommend 14 years on Aldi Beans and then booking a Northern Express coach trip for 48 hours to the lakes or something, on the proceeds.
I like it. I would go for. I don't know who I'd replace. I don't know actually. I don't. This is.
All
but
of us, if you have any sense.
Yeah. I'd say a lot of us just let him do his own thing. Carl Pilkington.
Yeah, it'd be good.
He's just one of the funniest people that I think have existed in terms of like he moans like we do. Everything fits in with the ethos of us trying to work out things that just aren't logical and then moaning about it. I think it's just brilliant. I think Carl Pilkington for me, John.
It's not something I think would fit easily in the world of celeb stepping into this show.
No,
I don't think
it's
the
not
natural
easy.
domain of the celeb, is it?
No.
I think I'd like to see someone who would be completely out the depths and very, very uncomfortable. I think that
That's
would make,
already, isn't it? That's
that
all
would
of
make, well. I think what would make for good listening would be somebody like Richard Madeley, who tries to appear clued up on every subject possible, and would have a hell of a job appearing clued up on some of the subjects we talk about. So if I fancied a week off, will you please get Richard Madeley on?
Richard Madeley on this.
Yeah.
Jesus. We tank more than we're tanking now.
Talk about shoplifting.
Yeah.
Shoplifters of the world unite. Yeah, yeah, Morrissey said.
Right, good stuff. Mrs. Malvo has got a
Yes.
question.
No, right.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
fired one in. Yeah,
Yes,
she
she
says,
has.
Lee, I'm sick of lawn.
Well,
That's
yeah.
true.
Can you move in at the
Welcome
first
to our
opportunity?
world.
Yeah, fucking hell, I'm sick of me as well. Sick to fucking death of it.
No, actually, she says,
Yes.
what's the worst social faux pas, what the fuck did I say moment the Barstewards have ever committed in their lives? I can kick us off while you think.
Yes.
It's an easy one for me. It was a situation where I was in a pub in Sheffield before a Sheffield Wednesday game, and I was being very pleasant with people and talking to different Wednesday fans I'd not met before and saying, and in pops a gentleman, his young lad. So I'm talking to him, and then I talked to the young lad about football and said, "Oh, have you played today?" Like, because he came in football kit and stuff. He said, "Yeah, I played. Yeah." I said, "What position do you play? Centre half and stuff, And so then I turned to his father and I said, "He sounds a decent player, your lad." Except it wasn't a lad. It was, of course, a girl.
Oh, God. Oh, Christ. Oh, God.
He didn't take very kindly, and that was horrifying for me. I shrank
Walnut whip.
like a shrinking violet. John,
I did a 2-minute rant in the owners and trainers bar at Ranker Races once about the shortcomings of one Nicky Connaughton jockey.
oh yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, I couldn't understand why this bloke was giving me the evil eye throughout, and it was only afterwards I found out it was actually his dad, Brian, who was in the company.
Awkward.
They don't like their offspring mullered and skewered, shall we say.
I thought a few of my friends committed more of a faux pas by not saying to me, "Please stop talking," but nobody did. I think they were enjoying the fact that Brian was there.
But you have a terrible friend circle, right? I mean,
They
it
are
is
all cunts, to be fair.
Yeah.
it's a terrible friend circle, yours. Absolutely awful. Even ones from out of town, like Tree Trunk from Stoke. What absolute dreadful specimen that we actually engage with and knock around with.
57
Awful
years
thing.
on the planet. I don't know what the fuck I've been doing, actually, to collect
I know,
such
yeah.
a rabble, really.
What an horrible set. Chris, what would your sort of social faux pas
Well,
be?
many years ago, I worked in an office, and the office had a new receptionist who was a physically extraordinary looking woman. She must have been about 30 stone, eyes on the side of her head.
Wow.
No social graces. She's just absolutely just horrendous. Nothing to recommend her, rude, etc. So this woman joined, blah blah blah, and in the breakout area, I said to a group of fellas, "Have you seen that woman down there?" Oh, I said, "Fucking hell! Imagine that staked out on the mattress. Fuck it, you could. Oh my god, you wouldn't know where to start. Horrible, fucking vile old thing. Dreadful. Really going to town on this poor woman." And at the end, there was a terrible pregnant pause, and one fella stepped forward and said, "That's my wife." And I thought, I'm going to cop for a right-hander there, but I think he viewed me with such contempt that he turned on his heels, and I felt wretched because I couldn't go back from it. I said, "Oh, that fucking old thing, Christ Almighty! You'd rather have a wank than go near that." Blah blah. That's my wife. I thought, oh, for fuck's sake. That was just wretched. I thought, oh
Yeah,
god, what
it's
a horrible.
literally unrecoverable, that
Yeah,
one, isn't
yeah,
it?
exactly. There's nothing you can say or do that would get you back from that, and that
Unless
was
you take
horrendous.
out a revolver and popped it in your mouth, that
Oh,
was your
absolutely.
only
Yes,
way out.
yes. Go behind the back of the stables with a revolver, tell Bessie I love her, and pull the trigger,
Yeah,
and that's it.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Which folks listening to our three tales between us tells you what dreadful, horrible fuckers we are.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Without anything to recommend us. Yeah. Funny thing
No.
was, postscript to the story was I ended up marrying her. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
I mean,
Big-
we think we're getting the stick about teaming up with Matt Zam cousins. You should see the fucking stick he's getting about teaming up with us.
Yeah. Christ.
Absolutely. You see, yeah, it works both ways, that one, doesn't it?
Oh,
Everyone doesn't know whether to stick a twister. Do we slag off here? Do we slag
exactly.
Barskins? Or do we slag Matt off? Take your pick. Evens each of two.
They must be the worst people he's ever been involved with.
Absolutely. Dreadful folks. Final question then, talking of dreadful folks. Samuel the cat obviously thinks we're dreadful because he says it's Xmas Day. And sadly, all your family have fell out with you.
No, you there.
Yeah, and that's because you have bought them crap presents like socks and pants.
Yeah,
Listen,
so-
we don't need to do any of that. We can commit far less than that. As punishment, they've decided to invite your nightmare racing people to have Xmas dinner with you.
fucking hell.
So you've got to pick the nightmare cast to join you and why. I'll start us off. I'll pick 3 people. It's a 4. It's nice, isn't it? You sit at the table, you face each other. You got a 4. It's quite nice. You don't have to have like 12, but 4's good. You get some convo, except you don't, because one of my first guests would be Jeff Banks. It's a tactical play that because you'd never get a word in, right? Which means while he's like parroting, I'm just troughing and drinking, getting on with it. And the other 2 guests would be Oisin Murphy and Charlie Deutsch. Because what I'd have them 2 do, I'd like ply them with wine and drink, lots of wine and drink, and fabulous time. I'd say I don't like them. You know for a fact that like Charlie's got form for like driving off down a motorway and doing about 120 from a speeding policeman, and then beating him up when he pulls him up. And then Oisin's bound to join Charlie when he says, "Come on, Oisin, let's fuck off." See, them 2 fuck off. No one's listening to Banks. He then decides to fuck off. He's had enough. And I'm left on my own. Perfect. John.
You've given that a fair bit of thought there, haven't you?
I've planned my scenario.
Yeah.
I've planned my exit strategy there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'd rather like Jeff as a Christmas dinner guest, to be honest. I think it'd be a bit of a giggle.
Yeah.
Worst Christmas possible, I would imagine, would be Mick Easterby with the shit hairpin tour, and Mark Johnston. That would be like every bit of misery compounded in my life. We'd probably get, before we got to the starter, we'd have had a 35-minute monologue from Mick about what they had to do without when they had out back in the day. I'd probably have Johnston looking daggers at me throughout. and the shit just doing his thing, eating everything he could lay his hands on. Yeah, that would pretty much be hell on earth for me.
Would you let Johnston fly his plane and land it in Albert Park?
Absolutely, yeah, because there's plenty of trees. I'd definitely do that.
Yeah.
And I'd put plenty of Sennecock in the gravy to send them all home happy.
Or early, one or the other.
Either or.
I could just see you with them two.
Oh.
Good God. Yeah. Some good ones here to start this off, Chris. So can you match these two?
Well, I can, and I'll raise you with Richard Hoyles, right? And I wouldn't have any other. I wouldn't have any other guests because the torture would be, you wouldn't have any diversion because this is a man. This is Tamazipan made flesh. I think he's just everything I dislike about horse racing. Pundits for various reasons. Richard Hoyles, I think, would be the ultimate punishment for me.
Me and John's got plans, right? See, we're thinking out the box, and we're thinking, right, how do we get out of this? And I've found a perfect way with O'Sheen and Charlie Dutch and Banks and just get bored and go. And you,
yes,
him there, and he's going to be like, he's proper going to be into you.
He's going to be there. Yeah, he wouldn't go, would he? I think ultimately, I don't think there'll be any way to get rid of him. To be honest with you,
No.
Not even if you told him there was a banging deal going on over at my place.
No, not at all. I think it'd be an incredibly stupefying experience, and I think if you invite him, you deserve everything you get. I think so. Richard Hoyles for me.
Good stuff. And that is suitable to end the show. We've enjoyed it very muchly, and we would like to wish you all a super Christmas. Make sure that you stay safe. What is that word? Stay safe. I know.
Don't get killed, basically, isn't it?
I think it used to be back in the day when we used to stay safe. It was like,
don't get killed.
Somebody won't pull a revolver or stab you in the neck or something. Now it's like it means just, I don't know, just don't have a tenner on an horse.
Don't get AIDS, don't gamble.
Yeah, don't gamble, don't smoke, don't drink yourself to death.
Just have a shandy and then fuck off.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hope you've enjoyed it. It's all from me, John and Chris. We're back for a New Year special next week. How about that? All
Hootenanny.
Yeah, Hootenanny special. Absolutely. Except ours is recorded live, not this rubbish, back in August. All from us. Bye for now.